Okay, so we are ready to go.
Come on, lesson 4.
I'm gonna send a message on Hangouts to Laura as all again too.
Okay.
Okay, Laura is like trying to send me a Hangouts video. Where is she?
Is she the one calling? Yeah, she's the one calling.
Okay, I'm gonna send it again. Maybe if I send it like 4 times in a row, it'll go through.
Maybe we should get this one. Okay, come on. I can't get to open some of my files. Oops.
Sorry.
There you are.
Hey.
Hang on, I gotta drive. Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm a compassionate service leader, and the Relief Society president had to come by my house, and it's like, okay, I got to get to class. Okay, let me pull up because I know am I hosting it?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, hang on.
No, that's okay. I was just like, well, I think that's what we agreed on.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Okay, nothing wants to. Okay, wait a minute. No, please don't. Okay. We're thinking about putting our house on the market, and I've started pulling things and cleaning, and I'm just like, oh gosh.
Chaos, I know.
Oh, my house is like, yeah, chaotic. Okay, I gotta find it. Discussion leader only. There it is. Okay, start the recording. Thank you very much. Who started the recording?
You're welcome.
Okay. Begin the discussion by asking one team member the following question. Okay. Here we go. Ask question number 1. We're just going to start and go through. Ask one person at a time to explain each of the 3 diversity paradigms. Okay. And making differences matter. Explain it. Okay. Who wants to go? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
All right. So, The three paradigms are assimilation, differentiation, and integration, which means assimilation has something to do with bringing everyone on board. Then differences like celebrating a difference. You don't have to be like, this one is that, this one is that. We are all equal. So we celebrate differences. Then integration is whereby we bring our differences together, then it helps us build a team or build a company. So diversity is all about celebrating differences because it's very important to bring ideas and share ideas and accept each other ideas to help build a team. So I think that it is. Then I also think that differentiation has to do with respecting other people's view, their experiences, and also personally openly contributing to ideas. Because when you share your ideas, it also help others to understand your perspectives or where you are coming from. So I think that is.
Okay, so then I'm just supposed to do the same thing, right? I think each of us. Okay. So for assimilation, also the discrimination and fairness, which means we're all the same. The differentiation is that we celebrate our differences, and the integration is that we are all on the same team with our differences, not despite them. And then from the reading, it just kind of taught from the Making Differences Matter article, it says like assimilation goes too far in pursuing sameness. So like everyone's identical, everyone's treated exactly the same regardless of who you are. Then it says that differentiation goes too far in the other direction. Too much of focus on differences instead of what we have in common. So I think the integration one is supposed to be the happy middle of where we have our identical stuff that we're the same about, but we also have our differences, but it's okay because they work together. I don't know. That's kind of what I got.
Yeah, I agree with that.
When I was reading it, I looked at the integration part of it, and living in the South of, in Alabama being the civic, equal rights and everything in the South, and how, still living here, it's still not all integrated. Everybody doesn't think everybody's on the equal page, and you want everybody on an equal page. And then I look at the I just say the difference. Everybody is different, but everybody has one loving Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
We all we're all equal in that aspect, but we're all different because we have the ability to choose how we want to live. But in choosing how we want to live doesn't always give everybody a right to make the choices for us. Or am I too far left field?
No, I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you're on point.
So, and then assimilation, I just look at it as, when I was reading it, and you took my part of, they went so far the other way. And that one was a little difficult for me. It's just because they went too far, but then how do you balance all three of them together?
Okay.
So, okay, let's see. Give an example. Number 2, give an example of an organization that has observed or worked for that shows some aspect of the how do you say it? Paradigm you choose. I can't find my glasses, so I've got to keep going in and out.
Sorry.
What? What is it?
Whether.
Okay, hang on. Okay, explain whether you think that the diagram was effective for that organization. Ugh. Okay. Interesting.
I think this one's tricky because I feel like I've worked for companies who kind of go along with one and two, like assimilation of like, we're all the same, there's no differences here, we don't discriminate, everyone's equal, but it's really not. But then number two, I think I've also worked for places where it's like, yeah, we celebrate differences, but I feel like even working in both of those places, you still have issues that come up where it's clear that it's not equal or it's not fair. I don't know. I don't think those paradigms are effective.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't think any company can have it equal, because it depends on the leadership of the company. It depends on the leadership, and it starts from the top and works its way down.
So do you think you could not have a company who really follows number three, like all on the same team, embracing the differences, but
they can say it on paper, but to see them put it into play would be truly ineffective. You would truly have to see it.
Yeah, I think some of the companies try to do all these things, but they have, you understand? Because, for instance, female discrimination, they say, oh, men can do this better. So, but on paper, they have it like, oh, these paradigms are working all right. We are fairness, no discrimination. It celebrates differentiation and integration and all that. But when you come to the company itself, maybe sometimes they try, like you said, it depends on the leadership. If the leader is female, she will try to give equal opportunity to another female. But when the management is all male, sometimes they discriminate among women in the company. That is, oh, she can't do this, she can do this, she can't do this. But they will tell the world that, oh, we are fair, we are that. So sometimes some of the companies try, some of them also don't try at all. They just hire anyone and just do whatever they want.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some people that try and maybe they do a good job. I feel like, I don't know, at least here in the companies I've worked for, like in Idaho, and I've only worked out of my house in Utah, but I feel like women's equality in the workforce, and I feel like there is still a decent amount of racism, especially in Idaho. Like, and I don't know, yeah, if Laura sees that in Alabama.
Honey, it's still, I would say, the old, like the older generation, the ones that are in their 70s, 80s, still acknowledge Caucasians as higher without getting myself in trouble. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. You are not in trouble.
Now, granted, with all the new hashtag Me Too movement, equal this, equal that, yes, people have done wrong, but when people are asked to follow the laws of the land and don't, then they bring on part of the opposite of what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, Do we want to move on to number 3?
Let's move on.
Okay. Melody Hobson says color blindness is dangerous. Do you agree? Is she making a point similar to the one that made by the authors of making a difference matters? Amanda, find my glasses. Sorry, guys. It's just I took them off today and I can't find them. Okay. So if it looks like I'm bug-eyed trying to read, yeah.
It's because you are.
Yes.
Let's see. I think it is dangerous. I think her point about color brave, which I think, we get into that in part 2. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think color blindness is sort of dangerous. Like, we are not all the same. And I think there's a reason we're not all the same, like,
yes.
I think that there's so much to learn from other people, other nationalities, even just from another state,
Yes.
So I think it is. I don't know how dangerous, I guess it can lead to biases.
But I will tell you this much, even in the church, we have a saying, east of the Mississippi, west of the Mississippi. It's two different worlds. Major. Not everybody has a member on the same street. Growing up,
say like Utah and Idaho versus the rest of America.
Oh, okay. I only lived in Utah for a little bit, and trust me, I didn't fit in. I mean, I literally did not fit in.
Yeah, I hated Utah.
I mean, because I was from the East, I was very opinionated. I mean, I called a mission president and said, why can't I feed the missionaries in my home? It was hard for me. It was very hard for me out there. When she's reading about the color blindness, it's like, I just see it within the church.
Yeah. I definitely love my ward here in Nebraska more than I've ever loved a ward in Idaho or Utah, because they're so much more accepting here, than it was in Idaho and Utah. I don't know. That's just my opinion, though, growing up in the Mormon Jello Belt.
Now, do you remember, you want to talk about discrimination? A couple conferences talks ago, and I don't remember which general authority kind of stood up and kind of laid it down about children playing with other children, don't just exclude them because they're not members.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
And some of us in my board went like, you know what? My kids play with other kids who are not members because we don't have them around.
Yeah, you don't have the luxury of only playing with Mormon kids.
I'll be careful of how, not every child raised in the church is raised.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Anybody else before I get in trouble? We'll move on to the next one.
What do you think, Herdy? Do you think the color blindness is dangerous?
Is she laughing?
So, I haven't read much of that. Okay. So, color blindness. I think so. It is. It is.
You guys can still hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. Did you say something?
No, my screen froze for a minute.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah?
Okay. My internet is breaking.
Okay, we'll go on to number 4. Is color blindness the same thing as discrimination and fairness assimilation paradigm? Sorry, it's like, okay, hang on.
That's okay.
Amanda, find my glasses, please. Look on the bed. Where? Oh. Okay, sorry, I'm back. I can't pause it. I can't mute. Find my phone.
You asked number 4.
Number 4, is color blindness the same thing as discrimination and fairness?
Ooh. I think so. I mean, that's just like the broad thing of saying like we're all the same. I think color blindness is sort of the same thing. Like we're all the same. There's no differences, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree on that one. Okay. Why do the authors of Making Differences Matter believe in integration and learning and effectiveness paradigm is the best approach to diversity in the workplace? Wait a minute.
Okay, from the PowerPoint, it says leadership must understand that a diverse workforce will embody different perspectives and approaches to work and must truly value variety of opinion and insight. So, differentiation will help a company effectively or help the workforce of a company when they appreciate each other. You understand? And truly they value the opinion of others. It will help move the organization forward. And it also helps solve challenges because everybody comes from a different background. So everybody will bring different ideas on how to solve problems, how to go about things. And I think that will help. So another way to help a company to be effective in their workforce or whatever.
Next.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, I agree that it's the best approach because kind of like Herdy was saying, I think when you can embrace your differences, but you all have the same goal in mind, I think that you maybe appreciate other people more. Like you respect their background and where they came from and their differences because you see how they can actually help you get to where you want to go instead of holding you back.
I look at it when my husband was in engineering school. There were some students in his class that were Muslim, and this is after 9/11 and all the other stuff. And he had a student asked him could he watch his stuff, and my husband said yes. Oh, is it time for you to go pray? And it took the gentleman by surprise that my husband would respectfully watch his stuff while he went and took care of the religious side. And when we went to move, this gentleman showed up to help us move. Out of the blue, you know.
Yeah.
Because we were respectful. And I think when they learn to, I try to teach my children, no matter what, be respectful. And that's, to me, that's part of the learning and effectiveness of it. If you can learn together, then you'll integrate better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Me
Okay.
too.
Part 2, color bravery. What does Hobson mean about being color brave? What do you think colored braveness would look like in the workplace? Sorry, I had to stop and think about that one for a minute. I'm thinking, is this similar to integration, or is she talking about something different? That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
I think it's okay, I think it's similar to the integration paradigm. I was reading another article about her talk, and it was it said, like, this was a quote from her thing. She said, "It's time for us to be comfortable with the uncomfortable conversation about race. If we truly believe in equal rights and equal opportunity in America, we need to have real conversations about this issue. We can't be colorblind. We have to be color brave, and we should raise the question instead of ducking it." So, I'm not sure what that would look like in the workplace. I mean, I work for a really small law firm right now with like 5 of us, so I don't know. Anyone else?
Hardy, where do you live? Where do you live? Did we lose her?
I think maybe. Hey, Hardy, can you still hear us?
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Wait. Yep, she's there.
Okay. Where do you live? Okay. We
I
lost.
think she's going in and out.
Okay. That one, I think to me, that's hard because of depending on the employment you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The engineering firm that my husband worked in didn't have a lot of other, what I want to say, didn't have a lot of diversity because people didn't have it's the education.
Right. Yeah, maybe they don't have access to it.
Right. I mean, when you think about engineering, that's engineering architects. How many of other nationalities go into that field?
I think that's one of the biggest, I don't know, those kind of things sort of highlight how far we still have to go with race in America. And obviously I don't know what it's like in other countries, like, but I just feel like my family, the older generation of my family was very racist, like, and I grew up around it, but I grew up in a time where it was okay. You know, like, I don't know how to explain this. I feel like I have grown up.
You don't know how to say it and not get in trouble.
On a live YouTube hangout. It'll go like viral by this evening. Oh, shoot. But it was just like, you know, he would make racist comments. He would use racist slang. And it was just like, dude, what? You know, like, you were born in such, but it's like, it was a different era for those people, but that's still no excuse to be, you know, racist. Like,
this one is very hard for me because where I live, I mean, I'm like, oh, yay. I mean, we're running out of time. Oh, we got to get through all these questions. Okay. Because I mean, now I have my glasses and I can read. I mean, it's like question number 5. I'll just tell you, what did John Skipper, ESPN president, mean when he answered yes to the question? I'm like, well, hate to admit, if he's the one, he's in trouble, and he stepped down from ESPN right now, I think.
Really?
I think so.
The guy who said hire the minority and the person who's most qualified?
Yeah. I mean, he was right in doing it, but he's in trouble for the sexual, yeah, all the sexual stuff with women. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, number 3. What could have been done in the situation to gain more diversity from, okay. What could have been done in that situation to gain from the diversity of the group? Discussion leader. Try to get each person in your team to share an experience. Oh, wait a minute. I skipped number 2 altogether. Sorry. We got to go back to number 2. Whoops. Okay. The author of Making Differences Matter explained that some managers are more comfortable in addressing problems without discrimination, outright discrimination, than more suitable diversity problems. See page 6. Have you ever been in a team, group, of organization where one person's idea or approach of doing work was hard for the rest of the group to understand, of differences in backgrounds, experience, gender, race, or something else?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had that happen to my daughter last year. And she was trying out for soccer, and it was going to be a co-ed team for her high school. And the soccer coach made the girls answer the question, would they be okay if they were the only girl on the soccer team?
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
They say, heck yes, we're okay with that.
I said you weren't going to play, and we walked away. Because I exploded, because that means, were you not going to watch out if my daughter was the only girl when she's on the bus with a bunch of boys coming back at night from a soccer game?
Yeah, that's true.
It just went against everything we stood for. And asking just the girls to answer that question, to me, that was discrimination.
I'm just reading page 6 really quick since it referenced page 6. So when they say outright discrimination or subtle diversity problems, like, what do you think those are? Like, what's a subtle diversity problem that you guys would think of? I'm reading it, but I don't know if it's like women.
Age?
Like women, Hispanics, Asian Americans, African Americans, Native Americans.
I don't know. I mean, that's.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess maybe like subtle diversity problems could be gender differences, maybe even like educational differences.
Could it be the gender differences with the can I say gender? Here I go. We're going to get in trouble again with the LB. What is it?
LGBT.
Thank you. That big gender. That's a big issue for some people in the workplace.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of discrimination around that, and I'm a pretty big like LGBT ally as far as just, I mean, equal rights. And
is it like, to me, everybody should be treated equal? You believe what you want to believe, I'll believe what I want to believe, but don't force yours on me.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that discrimination by me saying that?
No,
I don't know. I think it depends on what you're saying, what you're telling them not to force on you, and where you are when you're saying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I have a good example.
I don't have a good example on that one. Okay.
Okay, so which number are you?
Number 3? Should we go for
Yeah, we're on number 3. What could have been done in the situation to gain from the diversity of the group?
I don't really have any experiences for that one.
I don't either.
Me too. But I think despite gender differences, experience, opinions too can bring diversity. Because if one person brings his or her ideas, another person brings his or her ideas, I think it's kind of different things. So you can blend the ideas together and come out with something good that will help the team work together. So
Yeah.
I think
That makes sense.
That makes sense. Okay, number 4, right?
yeah.
Many companies still do have problems with outright discrimination. Have you ever worked for a reserved company where there was outright discrimination problems? Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember working for a company. It was a telecommunication company, and what they discriminate against women because the idea of a woman will have to go on maternity leave, someone has to fill in, they have to hire someone else. So they're finding difficult hiring more women. So it was more into men. They were discriminating against women. So I had that experience that it doesn't matter your qualification, it doesn't matter your experience. Once you are a woman, you don't stand a chance in that company. Yeah.
I think that stuff just irritates me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So annoying.
No, I worked for a vet who never had a sexual innuendo ever presented to me, but worked for a vet who was a member, and his partner made a comment, and I about hit the floor, and I went home, and this was right after I first got married, and I didn't know what to do. And
So did you do anything?
I mean, I eventually left. I mean, I just moved to Utah, just got this job, never lived in Utah except for when I went to the MTC on my mission. And I was naive because growing up in the church on the East, you always see those pictures of the perfect Mormon family of the West, and everybody wants to try to do that. And he just made a comment, and I went home and looked at him. I didn't do anything, and everybody said I could have taken him to court. And I'm like, what would that have proven? And this was back in 95. I was like, what would that have proven? But I know that was really my first experience of sexual discrimination. I mean, really. And I went, oh. I lose everybody? Oh.
I was going to say, that's like sexual harassment.
I don't know. It just made me go, what? And I thought, is he that way towards, is he discriminating against all the other ladies that work in the office?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Some guys like that are just
can
gross.
you just dump them?
I don't know. I think that's murder. I'm not sure.
I know. I wonder what our teacher thinks when she listens to these.
Oh, we're still on live, so hopefully no one else is listening. I always wonder if, does anyone just creep around watching for live YouTubes?
I don't know.
The invitation again, since it looks like she left.
Uh-oh. Well, we're running out of time. Okay, part 3, counseling. Elder Ballard described a church council. Does ward council follow the integration plan?
I gotta go back and find that because I wanted to check something about that before I answer that question.
I do too. So, because that one, I'm like,
a big beef with a lot of church things, and so
Don't get me started, please. Don't get me started. Can we? Let's just say, can I skip 1, 2, 3, and 4?
pause, beep.
Beep.
I think I was gonna go back and see, was the council he mentioned, okay, the ward council. Let's see, ward council. I gave the bishop a theoretical problem and asked him to use the ward council to develop a plan. Then the bishop was like, here's the problem and here's what I think we should do. Then he assigned everyone. So he didn't even counsel.
Nope.
And then Elder Ballard especially encouraged this bishop to ask the sisters for their ideas. And then they had a bunch of ideas coming in. First off, here's my problem. If a family is less active, that does not always mean they want the wagons rallied around them, you know, constantly on them, trying to like bring them back into the fold of Zion. That was my first beef.
I'm doing the jig because I agree with you.
But I also think that women should definitely be more heard in these discussions. And that's what drives me bonkers, is because I feel like amount of knowledge to offer these bishops in these positions, but if they're not listened to or not even given a chance to like tell their thoughts or anything, the bishop is missing out on so many opportunities to help people, you know?
I've had a bishop be a micromanager and one that says, here's the task, figure it out, get it done. Now, which am I going to take?
The second one. That's like my boss. Like my boss has always said, like, I'm not going to micromanage you guys. You know what you're supposed to do, so do your job. Like,
yep.
And I love that. Like, that's my jam.
Yeah. Because
like,
I've been the primary president and the Young Women's president, and I've only been a council and the Relief Society president. Never want to be the Relief Society president. Because that's like being a mini bishop.
Yep.
But I know sitting there, our bishop, both times when I served, it was 2 different bishops. They would go around when we sit in ward correlation, ward council, or however it is done now. They would ask he would have the agenda and the women would go first. Brethren got last.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the correct way you're supposed to do it, but he put the sisters first, and then when there was a problem with a certain family, he'd go, okay, here's the family. Sisters, what do you think? Brethren, you're last.
Yeah, I think women are better usually to ask that sort of stuff. I don't know.
But then somebody says, don't you want the priesthood? I said, I'm running as far away from that as I can. It's like, I got to keep my husband going straight. No, I got enough responsibilities. I don't need that one.
Okay, I'm pretty sure we just like went over 1 through 4. Like, I think we pretty much answered all of those questions in that conversation.
Okay. The Making Different Matter article assumes that there is some value of companies promoting a diverse workforce. Do you agree? What are the advantages and what are the...
I agree.
I agree.
I think the advantages are that you just learn from other people and you become more accepting and like more tolerant, and maybe some of the biases or prejudices that you had either growing up or just socially instilled can change, and you can realize like the world's actually a different place than what you thought it was.
Yeah. And I think if you ever, if you're working in a company and if you ever left the company to go to another company, what you've learned from a company that is diversified, that has the diversity, you might be a bigger asset to the to the new company.
Right. And you can bring ideas over and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there are really any disadvantages.
I don't think so. Probably the only disadvantages would be you're ignorant.
If you don't bring them over, or
Yeah, if you don't bring them over, and if you're not willing to learn,
yeah,
if you're not willing to accept other people.
and move forward in the 21st century.
Yes. What approach would you take to diversity as a manager?
Well, obviously, we would take the integration approach, right?
Yeah. Well, I thought reading the case studies this week, and I'm probably gonna go, woo! The one about where he was Muslim, was that the right one I was reading, or was it for the other class? Where he was Muslim and he wouldn't go to
The drinking parties.
the drinking parties.
Yeah.
It is very hard. And when I go with my husband every year to his company's one in November, it is like it is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday drinking fest. I mean, holy cow. But people are like, why do you go? I said, because I have to be accepting of what they do to support my husband in his job. I don't criticize them. But I always say loose lips do give an advantage to an LDS person. If you get my message.
Yeah, those case studies were interesting. Like, I hope we get to learn the results, right? Like,
I am, because I told my husband, the one with the lady that was pregnant, because I was talking to him about last night, and I said, now, am I being discriminated? Am I being wrong by saying she should have told the company up front she was pregnant?
oh, I think we get to see it in lesson 5. It says employee vignettes part 2. But we just hired, like a year ago, we hired this girl because we desperately needed someone. And then we find out like a week later that she is like 5 or 6 months pregnant and she didn't tell us. And we were so mad because she was going to take like 2 months off. And we were like, dude, we hired you to fill this position like permanently. And you lied to us. She didn't lie to us. She withheld the information.
I know.
So we couldn't fire her. Like, my boss was like, well, I can't fire her because then she'll file a claim for discrimination.
Right.
So we were like, we'll just make the office environment so miserable she'll never want to come back.
But I told my husband, no, I mean, I told my husband, I said, am I wrong? She should have said up front. And then it was her doctor that filled out the paperwork wrong.
But then I also think the company had some responsibility when they advertised the job as like, what, 20, lift up to 25 pounds, but then they changed it and said she'd have to lift up to 60.
Yeah. Now they were wrong on that. They were wrong on that aspect. And I stated that they are wrong on that. During the advertisement of the interview, it said this. Then they went back and changed it during all the process of her being there, which was a no.
Yeah, that one was a tricky one. But I still think like, but then I'm like, you have to see it from the woman's perspective. Like, she needs a job. She's pregnant. She knows that no one wants to hire a pregnant woman. So what do? You know, like,
you're in a catch-22.
Yeah, it's just, oh.
This one's been, that I can tell you, for one that seems like I'm doing case study. This one seems more eye-opening to everyday things.
Yeah, I thought those were all interesting. I'm excited to read part 2. I wonder if it tells us how they ended.
Yeah, because when they started the one with the NASCAR one, I was like, well, you know what? NASCAR is NASCAR. You get into that field, there's no discrimination. The sponsor says he needs to go, you go. Or you don't have your sponsor. Money dictates.
Yeah, NASCAR is big.
Oh, yeah. Very, very, very big. Okay, so this one, I'm just going to go follow the write-up. Has she graded anything from last week?
Not that I have seen.
Okay. Hang on, I think something just popped up. Let me see if it's from her class of one of my grades.
Oh, mine's just popping up that I've got quizzes due, and I freaking hate this semester.
No, yeah, quiz due. What one's that one? I have not the clue.
I think the quiz for this one's not due till Monday morning. but I just.
I already did the quiz. I think we got a second quiz. I already did the first quiz.
Yeah, we just have the weekly assessment, you know, how did you do this week? Whatever, that one.
I already did it. Sorry.
Lucky you. Well, I wonder where Herdy went. She didn't come back.
Uh-oh, I don't know.
I'll probably
Okay.
broadcast.
Next week, Thursday.